So, first of all, most welcome to somewhat grey Borås, but to a very shiny textile fashion center where the Swedish School of Textile is located. And also the Marketplace Borås and the Marketplace Arena where we are today. I am Lisbeth Svengren Holm, and I'm professor here in fashion management at the Swedish School of Textiles. And my background is in management, but my research and interest is in, when it comes to fashion management, is really about sustainability. And what I've done recently is to do research about communicating sustainability. This is the fourth Design of Prosperity conference, and I actually have been to them all. But this is the first time that I'm part of organizing it, together with Simonetta Carbonaro, who is also a professor here at the university, and what we say an expert in consumer psychology, strategic marketing, and design management. Those areas that are really needed when we talk about communicating sustainability. Also, David Goldsmith, sitting there, was also part of organizing this conference, and David is a doctoral student also here at our school. But I also have to say that I'm very happy that we have so many students who are helping us with this conference, and you met them at the registration. So, finally we are here, and I must say I'm really positively surprised that there are so many people who signed up for this conference, and on a Friday in Borås. But actually I shouldn't have been surprised, because the theme is really interesting and it is really of great importance. And it needs to be discussed. And we have also the fortunate to have so many distinguished speakers who travel all the way to come here and who are very engaged in this matter of developing and communicating what has been achieved and what still needs to be achieved when it comes to sustainable fashion. We all know about the risk of greenwashing, but green hushing is no alternative. We need to have transparency when it comes to sustainability. We need to talk about it in a serious way. And that's why we are here today, to talk about the elephant in the room. And I should click this as well. So, we know that media is doing a great job digging for things that are bad and questioning how companies behave, and also the consequences of their actions. But media is sometimes following an agenda of creating sensations rather than searching for good solutions. Serious digging is of course very valuable, and journalists have written books that have made a difference and also forced companies to change their behavior. Like, for instance, we all remember Naomi Klein, who wrote the book No Logo in 2000. And another one, not so world famous author, is maybe Hélène Rupel-Schell, who wrote a book I really enjoyed reading. It's called Cheap, the High Cost of Discount Culture in 2009. And she was showing why large retailers are so successful in very good alliance with consumers. And her book shows that there are no free lunches. What we think is cheap comes at a price. We love to make a bargain. We love when we can get a discount and not pay the full price. The problem is, what is the full price? And the problem is rather that we don't know. If it would be just about raising the price, the problem of sustainability wouldn't be such a problem. 86% of all garments are bought in the Western countries, and 90% of these are produced in poor countries, often far away, with low protection for environment and social issues, and even worse, with large problems of corruption. At the same time, the investments made by international textile and fashion companies are indeed contributing to the development of these countries. And so the solution is not to stop producing in these countries. On the contrary, it just goes so slow. Last week, when the case of H&M and its investment in Ethiopia was broadcasted on TV, a journalist also visited some stores in Stockholm. And he asked some consumers in the stores if they asked where the garments come from. They all actually looked a little bit puzzled and then embarrassed, and also surprised. Could or should they ask such a question? And someone said, yes, maybe I should in the future, and they maybe will, if they remember. But it's also, this is of course not a scientific investigation, but this is also confirmed by research. Very few fashion consumers are indeed looking or asking for information about the origin of garments, where it's produced, or if the material is eco-friendly. Design, fit, and price are what consumers are looking for. If sustainable, it's a bonus. One reason is, of course, that there is no or very little information in the store about sustainability. But also on the web, very few companies communicate what they actually are doing. I did a survey of the largest Swedish fashion brands and looked how they communicated on their web. And no company, very few, had any communication on the first page. Rather, it was hidden in the company reports, and that you find under the map about the company. And guess how many consumers are really searching for this information? Some brands, however, have begun to include sustainability as a core element of their brand, and claiming that they are aspiring to become more true to sustainability in all their actions. Some of these brands are here today on the stage, but also I know in the audience. Why most fashion brands do not believe that it is a good strategy to actually communicate what they indeed are trying to be in terms of sustainability. For instance, choice of materials, or also when they are choosing manufacturers. And the reason is that they have an anxiety that media could discover some mistakes that is then highlighted and would harm the brand image. So this is one of the reasons why they don't communicate. But from a research perspective, we were interested if it's possible to trigger more interest and if more knowledge could have an impact on consumer choices. We know that information and knowledge is not automatically leading to change of behavior, because if that would be the case, nobody, especially not doctors and nurses, would smoke. But they do, as we know. However, we still wanted to know if it's possible to have an impact on fashion consumers if we choose the very moment when consumers are really standing in front of the garments and making a choice in the store, when picking up the garment and looking at it. We know it needs to be easy as when you read about energy classes on fridges. So we made a test in our retail lab here in the university. And we wanted to see if information based on the Higg index, which you will hear more about later on, could be easy to understand, and if this had an impact on that choice. So 70 women and 4 men pretended to buy a shirt, and they had 16 shirts to select from. And after they selected a shirt, half of the group scanned the shirt and got information about this shirt's sustainability index on this computer screen. Then they could choose another one if they wanted to and test another one. The other half did not get any information except what's normally on the shirt, if it's eco-friendly or whatever. But afterwards we interviewed both groups if they were interested in sustainability and whether the information affected their purchase of the garment. So this was just a pilot test, so it's really not a scientific result so far. But still, it gave some interesting hints. Those people who received information reported a higher interest in sustainability issues and said that sustainability had an impact on their decision compared to those who did not get any information. And there are two theories of interest in this context. One is social pressure. People in general want to act and look good. Another theory is about consistency. If people want to be good, and the fact that people were watching them when they received information, they wanted to act in consistency with what they indeed thought was a good act to make a better choice from a sustainability perspective. But we need to test in real life stores and on web stores. And we would like to trigger more retailers, maybe you are here today, to test different ways of being transparent and communicate sustainable achievements and problems. Are consumers interested? We need to have the courage to test it. Will media punish those companies who communicate? We need to have the courage to test. Will consumers reward those companies who communicate? We don't know until it has been tested. And today we will hear from some companies about their experience of communicating and being transparent. Washington Post's legendary editor Ben Bradley, who supported the journalist Woodward and Bernstein's articles about Watergate, once said, "The truth is never as dangerous as a lie in the long run." The fashion companies are not lying, but they are often withholding information that could make a change in people's mind about the products they buy. So green hushing is, in the long run, dangerous. And I'm sure there are also many of you in the audience who indeed have experience of trying to communicate, and it would be very interesting to get hold of your experience as well. And we have a board down there where you can actually communicate it, or you can use the Twitter to communicate and tell us about your experience of this. And you can of course contact us afterwards. Simonetta today will be our moderator, and I hereby hand over the microphone to her, and thank you very much, and thank you for coming to Borås.